Good Tuesday night, and welcome into the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 FM The Score. I am Randy Rosetta. We're going to jump right in and start off with the Plainsman Fan Zone on a Tuesday night like we usually do. I'm joined by Landon Hiebert, not Hiebert, Hiebert, yes, and Jarron Gomez, two of the Plainsmen who went at Lubbock High with bad intentions the other night. Your friends, my friends from Lubbock High did not have a good night against you guys. You guys beat them 70-7. And full disclosure, my daughter goes to Lubbock High, so she was there. My entire family except me was there. They were impressed with what you guys did. You came out and jumped on them from the beginning. Actually, they got the early lead. Jarron, I'm going to start with you since you're defensive back.
Yes, sir.
They surprised you guys a little bit. They got the first touchdown. Not that you guys needed to lock in anymore, but how did that kind of give you that little wake-up call you guys needed?
Yes, sir. It definitely woke us up. First play was they ran that switch route and they caught us on the post.
I'm going to guess, without looking at the stats, it was Derek Torres that made a big play.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you've played against him for a couple of years, so you know he's got that potential at all times.
Yes, sir.
To make a big play. But then you guys locked in, and especially offensively, Landon. Last couple of weeks now against Coronado and Lubbock High, that offense has really clicked and done a lot of good things. Just to get all the details out of the way, you guys are now 3-4, 2-1 in district. You've put yourselves in a really good spot playoff-wise. Have some work to do still.
Yes, sir.
You go to Amarillo and play Tascosa Friday night at Dick Bivens Stadium, so that's the first chance to kind of take another big step.
Yes, sir.
Why is this offense – I know the offense has been pretty good all along.
Yes, sir.
It's been very versatile. Luke's had a good year quarterback, your running backs, but the last couple of weeks in particular, what's clicked so well?
We've just been firing on all cylinders, just hitting everything, playing clean games, just running cleaner routes and just staying together, not pointing fingers mid-game and stuff, and just playing our game instead of worrying about all the other factors.
And you've been back for 4 games.
Yes, sir,
and
since Odessa.
Not to – I don't want to stoke his ego too much, but coaches were telling me that you were going to make a difference in the passing game in particular. You guys have good receivers already, but when you add that a different element, how do you feel like you have helped Luke, the other receivers, kind of spread things out a little bit more?
Just another option, bigger option, I'd say. I mean, I'm a taller guy.
Yeah, you are. You got
help down in the box, blocking and getting big blocks on runs, getting that edge, and just deep threat and trying to run clean routes and just be out there with the guys. Yes, sir.
I'll ask you the same question because you've seen him in practice a lot. I'm going to guess for those first few weeks he was helping the defensive backs a little bit. I don't know if he was scout team or just you guys were having.
Yes, sir. He was on some scout.
So you got a chance to see what you can do. Having a guy like that that's just chomping at the bit to get on the field, and you know he's motivated. How did that help you guys in the secondary?
It helped us a lot because practice gets real competitive, especially with him. Like, he was newer to the program, so he's trying to earn his spot as well. And so practice just got real competitive when they would throw him out there on scout, and it helped us defensively too. So.
Not that you didn't already have some guys over there.
Yes, sir.
Because you got, well, although I don't know how it works because Q's also a defensive back, right?
Yes, sir.
Dez is also a defensive back.
Yes, sir.
So a lot of those guys there, you're mixing and matching. I heap some praise on the offense there for what they've done, but the defense now, you've given up 19 points in the last 2 weeks. Was my math right?
Yes, sir.
12 against Coronado, 7, and that's not something that's been there all season. You guys have gotten stretched a little bit at times. What's kind of kicked in these last couple of weeks?
I'd say just our practice habits. You know, we've been working harder and, like, not only on the football aspect, but I'm pretty sure you've heard us talk about adversity, and, like, we just been talking about. Yes, sir. We just been talking about that with our guys. Like, it's just more than football, and, like, we got to push through those struggles.
And the coach found something that kind of caught your attention with that, and
yes, sir.
It's definitely paid off. We're going to talk a lot about Tascosa here in a minute, but these 2 weeks you've had to face Demarion Finch from Coronado and then Braden Dunkerson from Lubbock High, two of the best running backs not in Columbia blue and red in town, and you guys have stacked them up pretty good. What's been the key to taking that part of those two offenses away?
I'd say it's just again, competitiveness in practice. When we're going scout, we started to do good on good instead of just wrapping up. So we started to take to the ground, and I think that's helped us a lot.
Again, you see some pretty good running backs in practice, too.
Yes, sir.
I guess Kyrie plays defense also, but you're going to see somebody in the backfield that can do some damage. Landon, I'll ask you about those guys, because being a receiver, it's great when routes are wide open and you got a quarterback and get to you, but if you don't have some guys behind you who kind of get that defense on their heels, it's not going to work. Sir. How good are those three running backs now?
They're really good. And last year when I transferred here, I actually played with Kyrie on JV.
Okay.
And we were just running him down. Just no one could stop him, especially. He just doesn't go down.
That's two pretty good weapons to have on a JV, to have you and Kyrie out there.
Yeah, sir. I was playing QB on JV.
Okay.
But, and then Dez is just shifty as all get out. You can't, fast as lightning, and then Deuce will just either run over you or break your ankles, whichever one. They're all great running backs. Yes, sir.
And I don't want to get in trouble. Your big guys up front have kind of come together these last couple of weeks. I was at the Coronado game, so I did see what they did against Coronado. You guys have had some success before the last 2 weeks, but that offensive line coming together has been a pretty big key for you, it looks like.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. They're starting to work together, and there's a little bit of pointing fingers at the beginning of the season, as well as all the way around and the whole team, and they're just coming together, and they're a great O-line when they're getting their job done and just firing on all cylinders. Yes, sir.
Winning games will kind of stop the fingers from popping up in the air. That'll put everybody in the right mood. This guy, I'm sure, is in a much better mood these last couple of weeks. Not that he was in a bad mood. I don't know that I've ever seen him in a terrible mood, but he's probably in a much better frame of mind. He got here just in time for the break, so he gets to catch his breath before we get going. We'll come back and talk more about Monterey against Lubbock High, but more about Monterey coming up against Tascosa on the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. This is Randy Rosetta, and we'll be back right after the break.
Keeping you up to date on the Monterey Plainsmen. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the Plainsman Fan Zone. Judd Thrash has joined us. Before we jump in and let Judd give us some thoughts, I'm going to run through this week's radio schedule on Raymar. Thursday night, Lubbock Cooper goes up to, they kind of grease the skids for Monterey. They go up to Amarillo and take on Paladuro. 7 p.m., that'll be right here on 100.7 The Score. Lubbock High is at home against Abilene High. That's on a different network, but that's our friend Rob Bro and Mark Bro will be on the call there. Friday, Friendship goes to Midland Legacy. That's at 7 p.m., Double T 97.3 FM. These Plainsmen go to Tascosa, 7 p.m. Friday on 93.7 The Eagle. Coronado's at home against Caprock, 7 p.m., 96.9 The Bull. Liberty hits the road for the first time in district play. They go up to Borger, 93.1 Yes FM, 7 p.m. Estacado is also on the road at Perryton. That's on a different network, but our friend Nick Long has the call. And then Roosevelt is at Idalou Friday, Sunday, 97.7 FM. That's always a pretty interesting game. Landon, you know a little bit about playing.
Yes, sir. Roosevelt's always a fun one.
Is that about as close to those? I know Idalou and New Deal are fairly close to each other, but yes, Roosevelt's just right down the road, too.
Yes, sir. It's right. Yeah, it's maybe 15 miles.
That's some country rivalry out there.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Tascosa is not necessarily a rivalry game, Judd, but it's a game that you guys have played really well in the last couple of years, and this is a chance. This is where it sits in the schedule and the way you guys are playing right now. It's got some meaning to it as you guys go up there. How well are your guys playing these last two games as you head up to take on the Rebels?
I think our team has a lot of confidence. We've had a lot of success the last 2 weeks. I feel like we're clicking as a team. We're playing for each other, and that's the most important thing. When you're a really good football team, you play for one another, not yourself. And I think our guys are understanding that concept. The last 2 years, the first year I was here, they were ranked in the state. And, if our quarterback doesn't go down, we probably beat them, to be honest with you. They blocked a field goal, but they ended up coming out on top. And then last year we were up 14-0 and then had some bad things happen and didn't handle the adversity very well. And this year I feel like our team handles adversity a lot better. So I feel good about going into the game. We're taking 1 week at a time. We haven't talked to our team about the good position they're in right now, because we don't talk about any future. We talk about the week that's at hand. And so, we, like I told them, we just got to stay together and play together, and we'll have a good week. We don't move. We don't talk about implications. We don't talk about, our good position or anything like that. We just focus on our opponent, which is Tascosa, and we've got to be disciplined on defense, and everyone's got to do their job.
Very wise coach named Andrew Roy said last night, you can only go 1-0 every week. You can't start putting. You only get to win one or lose one each week.
Yeah, and one thing I've realized about our team is, we sometimes get emotions on when we discuss things that are weeks ahead. So I don't tell all the players what's really going on. I just take it 1 week at a time, and we got to stay together and play hard, and everyone's got to do their job on defense. And I feel like our offense is doing a good job every single week, and I think that they'll get theirs against their defense. We just got to come out and play hard on defense and give that ball to our offense.
I'm glad that's a good segue. We talked about that a little bit. Offensively, you guys have had pretty good moments all year. It's been fairly consistent. Defensively, you had some moments where you struggled a little bit, but not these last couple of weeks. I'm just looking at stats from last week. You gave up 200 yards, and I think 75 of that came on the opening drive. What about the defense has just kind of found its groove all of a sudden?
We're flying around. We're playing reckless, and that's what you got to do on defense. We're running to the ball. You see us swarming the ball. You see guys congratulating one another, picking each other up off the ground, and that's what it takes to be good on defense. You gotta fly around. I think against Coronado we gave up 25 rushing yards, and then against Lubbock High I think it was
35 is what I got
35.
Here.
And that's the way you got to play. And so, Tascosa runs the ball. Hopefully we can have that same success. So we've handled the run well the last 2 weeks, and I think we'll do the same this week if we just get after it and play our responsibilities. A little bit different, because you've got to do your job.
Yep.
Every player's got to do their job when you're playing, dive option and veer and things like that. So everyone's got to do their job.
All right, I'm going to set the table for you here, Jarron, because we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what you guys have to do defensively, because I think that's the fourth time I've talked to somebody about playing either Tascosa or Midland High the last couple of weeks. This goes back to when I played, which is a long time ago, even when Coach played. You play that offense when you're defense. It's not rocket science, but you have to be patient. You have to be patient on offense while you're over on the sideline waiting, too. So we'll talk about what you guys have to do against them. So kind of start thinking about your answers there. So 7 p.m. Friday at Dick Bivens Stadium, historical Dick Bivens Stadium. You guys have been up there a few times. I think I went up there and covered you against Amarillo High last year. Monterey plays Tascosa. We'll be back on the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
The Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. Game on, Plainsman.
Welcome back to one more segment of the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I'm Randy Rosetta. I'm joined by Judd Thrash, Landon Hiebert, and Jarron Gomez. All right, Jarron, I gave you time to think about it. Tascosa is going to run at you. They're going to come at you in different angles. They're not going to put the ball up much. You're defensive back. What's the key for you guys' defense against them?
I would say just practicing hard. Like the last 2 weeks, we've been real physical during practice. But it's just a practice thing, going hard every play and just being real physical with our scout.
Yeah, because Tascosa's offense, they'll give you a chance to tackle them. You just have to take care of business.
Yes, sir.
They don't really run away from you. They kind of like the physical part of it, and it's just a matter of bringing them down. And Landon, as weird as it sounds, I mentioned that patience has to also be something from the offense, because their offense is built to be out there a long time, and
yes, sir.
The offense has to kind of wait for your turn to get out there, but not try to do too much at once. How equipped do you feel like you guys are for you to stay patient while you're watching your defense do its thing?
Just stay focused. Don't get flat on the sideline. Not just sitting down the whole time, and just be ready to go at any moment, because anything could happen, whether it's a fumble or just 3 and out. But just be ready to go and be patient and be ready to run routes.
Because I'm trying to remember there was a game last year when I covered you guys where the offense did have to You had a couple of 3 and outs, and it wasn't Tascosa. It was somebody who stacked together touchdowns. And then you're kind of in desperation mode. You don't want to get in desperation mode against a team like Tascosa because it's kind of like a snake. They start getting tighter and tighter when you get out there. Judd, you mentioned you guys got the lead against them last year, and that's if you get a lead against a team, a triple option or a flex bone team like that, that's a big edge. If you get in that similar position this year, what are the keys to kind of mashing down on the accelerator a little bit?
Well, we're up 14-0, and they kicked off the ball, and we dropped a kickoff return, and we just didn't handle the adversity. We dropped our head and didn't stay together and let it get in our mind. And this year, that's what we've worked on is handling that part of the game. I feel like we respond better now when something bad happens. We pull together rather than pull apart, and I think that's a big part of our success lately. And so when you play good teams, if something bad happens, you got to stay the course, and that's what we've been working on for the last 3 weeks. About something bad happens, stay together, keep pulling together, keep rowing in the right direction, and because it'll come Friday night. There'll be I always tell them there's highs and lows in football, and we'll have some lows. And when we have those lows, we got to stay together and pull tighter together, because football is the ultimate team sport. And so we just, like I keep saying, I tell the team all the time, stay together. And so Friday night, it's going to be a battle, and we'll go through some lows. And when we have those lows, we got to pull together. When we have them highs, we got to take advantage. But hopefully we can come out, put some points on the board early, and because when somebody's up on them, it's hard for them because they can't, they don't throw the ball like everyone else does. So we want to get up on them early.
Jarron, we talked before Coach got here. Lubbock High jolted you guys the other night. They got that first touchdown.
Yes,
all this stuff that Coach is talking about. Did that mental training come into play there? Did it help to have been hearing about adversity and not letting stuff bother you?
Yes, sir. I definitely believe so because I feel like the team we were before, we wouldn't have been able to handle it. We would have had our heads down from the very beginning of the game, which isn't what we would want in that situation, especially because we want to go into that game thinking that we're just going to be like dominant in the first series and all that.
Well, and with all due respect to the Mustangs and the Westerners, who I talk to every week here, I think Tascosa is a little bit better than them and has a little bit more recent history. Landon, coming out and taking the lead against them, like Coach said, how big would that be if you guys offensively can draw first blood?
It would be great. I mean, I don't know any of those guys personally, but feel like it'll be in the back of their mind going into that next drive. Just we got to come out hot and ready to go and score at any moment.
And I think that's a key. We've all talked about it, getting that lead against Tascosa early, especially on the road at Dick Bivens Stadium, where things get a little weird from time to time. We'll just leave it at that. But Monterey heads up there Friday night, 7 p.m. against Tascosa. That one is, again, on 93.7 The Eagle with David Thetford and Randy Dean. That's Randy Dean's territory up there. That has been the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. We'll be back with the Westerner Fan Zone after the break.